Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Biggening Corporation. This is our 25th episode of Building a Game in Business Central, and today we are going to do a few different things. We're going to start out pretty early on here with a quick little time lapse, because I maintain, unless it's a very minor bug fix, coding needs to happen on camera, even if it's a little time lapse, because it's boring, repetitive work that we've done before. So we will have a little bit of that today. The marketing bot and sales bot will finally get a little functionality. They each are going to get a bit of functionality from the purchasing bots. So we'll do that time lapse in just a moment. It only takes a few minutes. So that'll skip over a whole episode's worth of fairly repetitive work. And then I think what would be a great thing to do is to do a quick little recap planning session on what do we need to do to have this be a minimally functional game from where we knew we were from some of our past whiteboards, and try to toss some of the little things that we know that are to-dos into a more structured and useful and community-friendly sort of way. As mentioned in past episodes, I use Trello a lot for my own personal projects, but GitHub has a functionality that does all the things we need to do, so I'm going to just keep it right in the GitHub repo, because why not? And once we've done a bit of that walkthrough, we're going to create a brand new test player company. And we'll see what in the workflow of, okay, so let's pretend with this brand new company we're a player starting out. What do we need to do to get started as a player? What pieces are we potentially still missing to get to the minimum level of I'm making money? So I know there are some holes, and I want to see if we can find those today. And as a result, since that's lots to do, no secondary goals in mind today. So without further fuss and falderall, let's review real quick making the sales and marketing bots. Here we go. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, great. That is good stuff. So, now we have at least the basic framework in our engine for some of the sales bots to work the same way that the purchase bots do at the moment, which is all of them are very boringly creating a single sales order, and they are very boringly using just a single item. Both of those being hard-coded at the moment, and that's in the neighborhood of things that we need to address and fix up. So there are probably a variety of things in the pile there that will need further advancement. If you were watching closely, then you probably also noticed we added some game setup changes to control some sales-related activities as well, just as we did in our purchasing. And there are some really funny typos in here from going find and replace a little too quick, like salacing and sale-ace prospect effort. Find replace sometimes is not your friend, so I will fix those up. Okay, so some of the stuff that we talked about that we needed to do, we set out this little Word doc as a whiteboard back in episode 8. We talked through what we needed to do, that we needed to have marketing find customers, which we've got going now. We need customers and the ability to assign bots to those customers, and the ability to change the orders per day. We potentially still haven't quite done the item class handling yet, but we do have sales bots creating orders, so that's good. And then, so for the most part, we've got a lot of that old to-do pile sorted out. We've got a variety of this purchasing workflow all sorted out. We talked way back when about the item structure and how the Class 1, Class 2, and Class 3 items will work. And there is definitely some homework I'm going to do off camera to populate our crazy Excel with all of the different item categories we have and all the different items people might be choosing to sell. And so then we kind of talked through the workflow, that we needed the logic to generate customers. Check, we've got that now. Potential customers, yep, we've got that prospect. Players can choose which prospects become customers. Check. We've got the ability to assign sales bots to customers. Check. I don't think we added any insight onto the customer card yet about the limits per day. I feel like we did. That is not at all the right tab. I don't believe we've added that to the customer. Did we add that to the vendor? Let's check. And I think I just used a shortcut to register a new vendor, which we don't want to do. So yep, we've got the vendor card set up with showing that info, but we sure don't have the customer card. So that's definitely something we know we're going to need right away. So as I talked about earlier, Trello and various other tools definitely take the Kanban approach to doing columns and notes and things. So I am going to try to move away from having these random freeform whiteboard style episode docs where we task list out some things and try to get those into the GitHub project, which any of you can go see at the Biggening GitHub. It is just under the projects tab, and I have called this our 2v1.0 project. And I am going to populate the heck out of this to-do pile, and then I will start being able to kind of queue up what we're doing in our various episodes, and we'll keep track of what's done. So something we know we need to do is we need some customer card and list changes. We'll do that as a quick and simple. Now, I believe, yes. Cool. We can do checklists in here as well. It's just as simple as we need to see, like, for example, the max quotes or orders per day, and we know that we need, just like the vendor card and the item card, we need player versus admin lockdown, we'll call it. Save. Boop. And now we get checklists. So that's nice and easy. Okay, so that's something we know that we need. And then we created storage space for customer items. That does not support classes. So like, for example, in our framework of things, maybe we might have a customer that only buys outdoor class 2 kits. So we need a little bit more to that custom table, which is part of why I made that custom table decision. It at the moment is just a parallel copy to the item vendor table, but I knew there was more fields we were going to add to it. So the item customer catalog, we need to add to that, which we need. I'm going to copy that to clipboard because we're going to use that a bunch. We're definitely going to need the product posting, and we need the item category. Okay, those will be easy enough. And then, let's see. We are eventually going to have the marketing bots do some different task types. Right now they're only set to farm for prospects, but at a certain point you're going to be like, I'm done with customers, what should these marketing bots do? So I want to add a little marketing bots job, increase demand, which for our purposes is going to be price, I think, because I don't want to constrain players to potentially a customer going, I don't want any more tent kits or whatever have you. I think we've got enough hard caps on the customers themselves. We don't need to introduce the full demand impact, but we will indicate the demand through the mechanism of pricing. So I'm just going to leave that actually as is. That's perfectly fine. Then we've got the purchase bots are all set. That's all set. Our master items, this is the thing that I had talked about in creating this table. I do still want to have research drive which items are available. So we have a workflow, we have a to-do here, research, unlock, unlock item sets. Let's just keep it as simple as that. That sounds fine. And then we've got the research tree. We've done a variety around this. We haven't done any of like some of the other effects from research. And yeah, here unlock the different categories. We haven't done a variety of these things. So I'm going to move a bunch of this research stuff into our to-do list. We don't need to do that on stream. That's easy enough for me to do. And then the other whiteboard that we had was going through the company setups to see if there was anything we had missed that we needed to be able to post sales and purchase documents. And out of that, we realized a few things that that the player would potentially need to be able to update, and some things they wouldn't. One small thing that I realized in my testing of the player test company is that because of the fact that bots are doing all these transactions, I should have in my inventory setup turned on automatic cost posting, and that is why items value, the actual monetary asset value, had not moved off my income statement into the balance sheet. Because if you have automatic cost posting turned off, you are supposed to run a job on a regular basis, post inventory cost to GL. Come on, inventory. Yeah, there we are, down at the bottom here. You're supposed to run this on a regular basis to move the expense to asset. And there's some options around that. Companies might choose to turn this functionality on or off depending on their transactional flow and their operating overhead, that sort of thing. Automatic cost posting introduces additional posting efforts during the post operation, so it can slow down operations. I personally don't see it super noticeable, but a company that's doing 1,000 transactions an hour probably would see it. So some of our customers will instead set these jobs to run in off hours as part of a job queue, and post all those inventory costs, on a daily basis or whatever have you. So that was something that I needed to make sure was turned on in my master data company, so that way all of our subsidiary companies got it. And I also fixed up in our chart of accounts, I had the totaling set up in a foolish sort of way for our net wealth. It really honestly should just be everything through 299. That's perfectly fine. I had specifically pointed at 2 total accounts, and technically nothing post to those, so it was always coming up 0. I also had a small setting fix issue. The intention behind this 1420 is to be the value of a location. So when you buy or sell a location, the value of that is your asset, not the contents thereof. The contents thereof are supposed to be against the inventory count 1300 up here, and that at the moment is hard-coded, so that was something I needed to fix in our location management somewhere. I forget exactly which code unit it's hiding in, but yes, here it was. So when we create a location, it was pointing to 1300, and this is one of our many to-dos that are sitting open, which we'll talk about in just a second. But that was the only real thing left from episode 15 that we hadn't handled. So that's all good. So we can, for the most part, with the exception of this research tree pile, which I will bring in off screen, we can consider our to-do list from those whiteboarding sessions to be all done for now. And then I do have a host of things that we've, throughout the episodes, marked as things that need to be followed up on. Some of them are very elaborate, like for example handling when a player buys an advanced location. We're going to need a lot of setup for that. And I have to do a bunch of testing around that, and I'm going to probably do that on camera because setting up warehousing is a lot of work and you gotta get through it. It's not always the clearest to-do pile, but so many of these to-dos, I'm probably going to do another time lapse to clear up a bunch of these. Like for example, storing the error blob to get the whole message and things. Some of these silly little items that when the dispatcher runs, we're creating a lot of job queue entries, and we're creating job queue entries throughout the system. Every company, all of the player companies are creating a job queue entry log per minute, and that's a lot of data. We don't need to keep that. There are built-in functions to clean it up, but we should run that on a regular by ourselves. So I'll do a pass through this and we'll clean that up. So that gives us some good start to some of the to-dos, and I'm going to walk through and tag up a bunch more of the research components, so that way we know what we need to do with that. And sometime real soon I'm going to have to finish that item catalog. I may, in fact, invite some people to help edit that and have fun with that. So I might schedule sometime in the next couple of weeks and announce on Twitter, have people join me in a shared editing document, and we'll just go to town on creating items. That'll be fun. Okay. So that, I think, is a pretty good recap of where we are. So now let's say we want to test the workflow. We know that there are gaps in the workflow right now, that if a new player is just starting out, how is that going to work for them? And we know that there's workflow issues in the system manager. That's interesting. It's giving me the default role center. we have tons of role center work to do that I know about. For example, I got bot templates and master items, and that's about it. So, there's lots to add to the system manager. For example, just, players. Okay, so we have a set up new player. That's right. Okay, so even I have forgotten my workflow, so we need to think about how should this work. Test app. Oh, and we are on 24, 25. I lose track. All right, good job. 25. No one at. Nope. Okay, so we're going to create a new company. Yes, we thankfully have some good validation around this. So let's call this company name Test EP25, and the company display name. That's interesting. It's not editable, so that's something you have to edit once the company is created. So we'll let it chug for the moment or so that it needs to have that run along. And while that's going on, is there anything else that would be useful to kind of hit up and talk a little bit about in our engine here? I think that was the main thing of this. I still have not so very useful feedback coming from the marketing bots. Same for sales. One thing that the purchasing bots are still not currently doing is I do have this post-purchase order shut off, so we're receiving purchase orders left and right potentially, but no one is posting the invoice side of that. And something that we should make sure of is that when we're creating vendors, let's go over to our prospect table, player company. One thing that we're not doing is we are not setting on the vendor a payment terms code that will make the accounts payable entry immediately be considered paid. And so right now what we're doing is we're creating invoices and they have due dates, but our accounts payable is getting huge and our cash is never touched. So we do need to fix that up. So this will be customer and vendor side. We need to have a payment method from prospect to prevent AP and AR. There we go. So that's something we know we need. And that's still chugging along. Alright. And on the company initialization, let's see. We're calling the company setup. Okay, we have payment terms, but we don't have payment methods. So this should, in our to-do of this task here, we also need to note in here that we're the company setup add payment methods. Cool. So that way we do both. Fantastic. And hopefully that'll be done just a sec. Usually takes a couple minutes to initialize a new company, so I'm not surprised that's running a little slow. Alright, so that's pretty good. And then no and let's see, so we know that's got to be copied over. I think one of the things that we're going to need to do is probably, while we're waiting on this, we know we're going to need a big pile for player role center. I'm going to add this as one big giant card, and we're going to add a lot of checklists. So system manager, role center, we know we need a lot of stuff there as well. And we know from yesterday's episode in the snapshot system, we need to add power usage was one of the to-dos that we were not snapshotting. And then I also was hoping to do today, but I realized it was kind of a nice to have, not a need to have, and that's always tricky to balance when you're trying to build something. Always get your needs done before your wants. An API against snapshots is an extremely cool thing to have, but we still don't have a game. Get the game done first. So snapshot API is definitely something we need to have going. And then also in the snapshot side, in the snapshot side of things, we also need to add player filtering logic. So that way players only see their own info. We know in the background of things, towards the tail end, we are going to have a permission set file. And that's going to be somewhat of a big undertaking to decide what bits and pieces do we need to have. Cool. I hope that didn't roll back. I believe I added a nice commit. Cool. Test step 25. Cool. Excellent. Just because it's been a little while since I've even looked at the company initialization here. Our player management code unit. The setup here is just a matter of generating a player user, and for the moment that was creating an entry in the user table. It's not even creating permissions for that user at this point, so it's okay that part failed for today's testing. Cool. But it does suggest player management test for required fields before executing. Again, that test near. So that's a to-do. Okay, so now if we head over to our test episode 25, this should exist, but probably won't have anything in it. Let's confirm that. Oh no, it ran the copy routine. Cool. Excellent. What we don't have is a display name. So companies, and this is the display name should be testing for EP 25. Sounds good. We should make that editable on the player management, I think. But anyways, cool. All right, so the first thing that a player would do, I would think, is we should probably give them some sort of assisted setup or jumping off point where they can know what should I do to get started. So we'll have to think about, can we do anything cool with the assisted setup functionality in BC? Can we potentially hook into this and make this make sense for players in the system? But the first thing we're going to need is we are going to need a new location. Because without that we can't assign anything. Now, we had created some functionality to create locations, I thought. Now this is playing a game of testing my ability to remember the code that I have written over the span of a few weeks, so that's always fun. Okay, so we have purchase location. There are two references to that. Where are the references? It's in the location list. Where is that? Okay, so yeah, by a location, it should be showing. was hiding under new document. So that's kind of a dumb thing. So I am going to add a to-do because that would confuse me as a player. Location clean up ribbon. We're going to need to clean up all the ribbons. We're going to have a big tidy up episode on that one because messy. Alright, we're going to buy a basic location and number series doesn't exist. Okay. Oh, so check this out. We do not have in our company initialization logic anything that is copying the number series, and that's going to be a showstopper of a big problem. That we can't work with that without those. Okay. All right. So I mean that's a big deal. Let's close everything up here. Oh man. Okay. Wowzers. So, in our master companies, I am disliking the heck out of this very unclear code unit. I keep looking for it and being like, master company, what does that have to do with anything? So we should probably rename that in the near future. But if we look in this, we have nothing in here that handles number series, and that's so egregious of a problem that we can't work without that. What I don't know is we set that up in test player 5 to make sure we could test drive everything. I don't know that we copied that info over to BC master data. We did not. Ooh. Ugly. Okay, so we have two problems in front of us real quick that we're going to have to address. One is we immediately need to fix the fact that we don't have number series. We need that functionality in here. We also need number series line because it is a pair of tables. I'm just thinking too, we've got inventory posting group. I don't think we have sales and receivables setup, purchase and payable setup, just straight up inventory setup, because that's where the number series lives. Numbering, yeah. Whew. Okay, so I guess we're going to do a little company copying for about 10 minutes or so here, because we need that, or we can't test. We need sales and rec setup. We need perch and pay setup. And we need inventory setup. I don't think we need... Let's go check something real quick. In our test player 5, where we did the actual testing of everything, did I set up warehouse setup? No. Okay. So nothing in there at the moment, which is fine because we're not currently using warehousing, so that's a good thing. Okay, cool. So those 5. Alright, and then alright, I'm just double checking the logic behind why I have a boolean to see if this one exists. Oh, because this potentially updates and overwrites. Alright, yep, we want to keep that logic flow, so alright, test number series boolean. Thankfully this won't take very long. We're going to be able able to copy a lot of that functionality, which is beginning to suggest to me that we really should have turned this little chunk of code into a function as much as possible, going through a record ref and field ref. So that's a complicated sort of topic, but I think it's worth doing. So in our company setup copy, change functions to rec field ref based. We'll spend an episode doing just that. It's time and investment into creating that workflow. We'll appreciate having it, but it does make it take time up front, instead of each time we come back and we realize, oh, this other table now we need to add here. And the way that will be able to work for us is we will just be able to add another table number and say, process this table number 2. Once upon a time, there was a system inside of NAV that was called like, oh man, what was it? It was like a setup table, but you could copy setups between company. It was beautiful. I see, okay. I'm like looking at this going, huh? I need all of these to be up here, and then I need destination versions of all the same. So that's where I was not following my own pattern. And by doing it by table and field reference, we wouldn't need to have all of these different variables declared, this wall of variables. So that would make life a little easier as well, because the less code you have, the less you have to maintain it. That's a good thing. Alright, dest number series. And we're going to simplify this and do a copy. There we go. There's number series line, dest sales and receivable setup, dest purchase and payable setup, and dest inventory setup. Yep, that's the 5. That's how I'm kind of mentally keeping track that we had 5 of these. And then for all of these, number series, sales, purchase, and inventory setup, we will have basic little get handling, but then the number series line will be a little varying. So we should be able to copy some of this functionality. Let's do this GL account one. The find and replace in Visual Studio Code works perfectly fine, but it doesn't do like a find replace within selection that I'm aware of. So I often will just drop code out to Notepad for the clarity and simplicity of, I know I won't accidentally find replace in the real code, and I can review the results, and usually that lets me catch the goof ups like the sales ace that we saw earlier. So we have number series, which I believe that will get me where I want to go. Let's pop this down at the bottom here. This needs to be inside of that end. And I believe that's code instead. Yep, just code. Okay, that works. And then for the main setup tables, it's going to be more like more like these guys. Ooh. Like this little chunk of code. We want our sales gen buzz posting, and this is going to be sales and rec setup, I believe. Yep. Just making absolutely sure I don't goof up the name there. my variable off schema. Yep, because normally it just is a variable that matches the name. Cool. And then this is actually primary key. Yes. Cool. Purge and pay. As you can tell, a lot of times if you're doing things between sales and purchase, they're pretty mirrored as systems. So usually, so usually you can just do a very simple copy and paste between sales and purchase side changes, which is wonderful. And then we also need inventory setup. There we go, that tidies that all up, and I need to do number series line. So that one's a little clunkier than this. We'll just do straight copy and paste in here, and we're gonna do number series line exists, number series. Okay, so number series line is series number plus the line number, so we need to update the logic on this to have the right get. Number series line dot line number. Cool. Okay, so transfer field between number series line. Yep, and yep. Okay, cool. That should fix that up. And I'm doing the number series here before I do the sales and receivable, purchase payable, inventory setup, where the numbering will actually be used. So there's a little bit of a sequencing there. Now what we can do is we really need the information from our test player 5 number series. We need the setup that we've done in the number series tables to copy over, as well as all of those things that we just did, the sales and receivable setup, purchase and payables, inventory. The easiest way for us to handle this honestly is going to be to flag test player 5 company as a master. Yeah. Unflag BC master data, and then just use this as the data source and copy it over to BC master data. That feels like the easiest way to go. So let's do that. I was gonna do a config package sort of thing and like move everything between the two, but realistically, I don't think that makes that much sense. So we're not gonna do that. Okay, cool, excellent. All right, that works pretty good. And then the only thing we have to do to make this work, because for now we have that field editable. Player company 5 is now a master company. We'll pop over to master data. Whip. We see that's checked. We'll uncheck it for this company. And now we'll head back to data 5. We'll select this BC master data row here so that we're on it, and we'll do copy to. Now we should, you know what would help before doing that? Publishing. Just one of those sort of moments. And chug. Cool. Let's refresh to make sure we're all up to date, and now we'll copy to. Okay, so now if we go over to our BC master data, we should have some number series info. Let's see if that worked. Oh, it worked. Nice. Oh, I wasn't honestly 100% sure it would, but now we've already tested it, so that's cool. What we now need to do is real simple. We can reflag the master data back to a master company, and we need to clean up our number series here in the master company to not have a last number used, so that all the players have a nice clean data set on their lines. And that's just that's totally editable. You can goof yourself up if you do wrong choices here. I mean, like, you know, it doesn't validate whether or not those have been used anywhere, not even on posted documents. So if you roll back the lines and make it a duplicate of something you've already used, it won't throw any errors at all until you hit post. So be careful with changing your number series around. And by the time I've told you the cautionary tale, we're already back to reset. So there we go. Okay, great. That's that easy little step. And now we can just turn on master company here. And this is something that, generally speaking, we wouldn't want to be quickly changed, so I'm okay that this is awkward at the moment. That's fine. So pop back into our BC master data. Before I do that, here in player 5, payment methods, I had created an auto pay payment method. That is GL account 100. That's just basically paying out of cash. As soon as an invoice is posted, it will automatically deduct that from cash and then write it off as paid. So I'm thinking that since we're touching that area of the system anyways, we might as well add that payment method to our master data company here. So real quick, before we run this yes, there we go, payment terms, we're going to add it right underneath payment methods record. We aren't going to update the prospect code just this second, but I want the functionality. Actually, you know, maybe we should. Payment methods, yep, I go plural. Alright, payment methods, sure, and then payment methods exist. Perfect. There's always a trade-off of, do you really want to spend time adding something to a to-do and then seeing it for the next several weeks, days, months, whatever your timeline is, or if in the same amount of time you can add something to the to-do list, if you could just do it, might be worth just doing. Isn't always so, but often. Of course, I'm the sort of crazy person who has a zero inbox in my professional world, and I know plenty of people who are like, wait, what? How do you live? Okay. Payment methods exist, plural. There we go. Cool. There we go. And all the prospect is doing is, in the table is where we have our little convert function. So we just need to update the vendor payment method code to equal auto pay is the name of it. Again, these should come from Game Setup, but I'm not going to dive into that right now because that's there's some complexity there on the customer side, for example. But payment method code equals auto pay. I think that's all we need to do there. And real quick check, payment terms. Payment terms don't matter much with auto pay on, but okay. Note I'm just calling it auto pay. This could just as easily be cash or any other number of different terms you might choose to use in your configuration of things. So it just happens to be the fact that I'm doing against a payment method code. You could just as easily put it against a GL account for like a credit card or any number of other things, and you can point these to bank accounts. So here in the master company, I am going to automatically pay everything. Sure, and that is going to come from cash. Cool. And I am not doing any sort of bank settings on that. That's perfectly fine. Cool. All right, so again, publish before we do anything with it. Wait, and done. Cool. Quick little refresh, and now we should be able to recopy our settings to episode 25 company and hop on over there, and now we should be in better shape. So already we found a couple of significant holes. That's always fun. This is why we playtest. So now we should be able to buy a basic location. Hey, we get a location 1. Cool. Right now everything is still editable in this section, and we still have a lot editable in the rest of it. So to do on our list that we know of is location player control lockdown. So I should probably clarify this note. This is for the location card. Because this is in GitHub, by the way, I could just as easily have these be related to issues. You can absolutely convert these to issues, and then when you check in code, you can note that you are solving this issue. And if you do have your workflow set up in the projects, you can have issues automatically flow through this through your different columns. I'm not gonna go crazy with that because, you know, for the most part it's just me developing it, so it's fine. Even if we start getting some great community pull requests, that's fine. We don't need to do a whole bunch of workflow just yet. Okay, so yep, location's all set. Cool. Now we want to go to our bot list as a player, and we want to yeah, that's an ugly little workflow there. We are going to need an inventory basic bot. We don't have any way to assign it during the wizard, so that's a problem. We're going to assign that. There we go. We are going to need a new bot for purchasing side because we need to get some vendors. So something we should look to is game starting. I'm going to leave this as a kind of a bigger note. My thinking is that you should not start with an empty company. That it would be a good thing to start by default with a customer, a vendor, a sales bot, a purchasing bot, an inventory bot, and that way, out of the gate, even if you don't have any time to look at it for more than the first day or two, something at least will be happening while your company is started. So as soon as a company starts, there should probably be some assets to begin with. Okay, cool, all right. We've got a purchasing bot. It's not assigned to do anything right now. So that bot will try to find some vendors as prospects, and the same will be true for a marketing bot. So players should probably so we're missing bot templates for marketing types. I suspect the same is true for sales. What do you know? Nope, I set up a template for that. Cool. bot templates are intercompany, so we can just fix some of these issues right here. We're going to have a marketing type bot. Obviously this list needs some population designing. We haven't done anything about having different tiers yet. We haven't done anything about having requirements material-wise or research-wise for the different tiers of these bot templates. So there's some stuff to do on that one. I don't know. Marketing. Yeah, sure. Just Sam. I don't know. Thanks, Brain. I appreciate you autopiloting through that. Marketing Sam. Marketing Sam. Sure. So we'll give it 5 operations per day. Sounds fine. Sure. Okay, so now we've got the ability to have a marketing bot, and for now there's no assigning process for that. So at least now, theoretically, this player has the basic tools necessary to get something started. So now if we do a game setup and we tick this up, you know what we probably don't have in this brand new company? We do not have anything in our company setup, and this is a huge one. This is a big deal one. Company setup, job queue, heartbeat. We have to make a heartbeat code unit here for, otherwise we're going to have a bad time. Won't do anything. And we start this at 00, and we run all the way to 23:59, and 1 minute between. Sounds delightful. Okay, I don't think we had any sort of parameters on this, so that's nice and simple. Set status to ready, because it's actually less clicks out here to get to that. Okay. So we should see that heartbeat listener tick over in just a moment. See, that's the sort of thing that I'm looking for in these walkthroughs. So, cool. Alright. We're coming up to the end of our time for today. Just running out of time, but we've got some good task lists, some good things that we know we're going to need to do. I'm going to start populating a lot more of this to-do list. It's going to get pretty darn huge, and we're going to start I'm going to start taking some of those to-dos and throwing them in our next episode so folks know what's coming, and that way we can have a better handle on what are we going to try to do, what do we need to clean up. I think that'll be very, very helpful. As an aside, I am not going to be streaming tomorrow. I will be on a boat. At the time of streaming, we have a company meeting and it is taking place on an island nearby, so I will not be around for tomorrow's stream, sad to say, because I do actually enjoy this quite a bit, and we have no prospects. So I wonder what's going on there. We do have a current game date. Let's check our bot error log. See if anything is in here. Let's do this descending, please. Sales prospect error. Sales prospect effort must have a value. Okay, so our marketing bot can't do doodly in this company because we did not set it up to handle the prospect system. Okay. Alright. Let's see, and now if we look in the activity log, what do we got going on? Okay, so sales is properly complaining that there's no assignment code, so we did nothing. The purchasing bot theoretically should have been fishing for prospects, but we might have that turned up so high in our game setup, because as you recall, in our game setup, we have the prospecting effort, which this should be set to something. Sure, 1000. Sure. So it's I love that sales thing. So I gotta clean up this game setup. It's getting messy, and some of these are definitely find and replace has done a number on the captions. So we need to fix that. Oh man. So it would be a number of game days at 5 research points a day. It would be a number of game days before we see a prospect generator from this, and this should not be a player error message. So we're gonna have to look at how that error got caught, because it's wrong. Okay, well, that I think will wrap us nicely for today. And when we come back on our next episode, I'm going to have a pretty giant pile of to-dos growing in here, and we'll figure out what our next steps are. I think we're going to need to do some developing of the data. But we're closer than we've been, so that'll be good. We'll do a little more tidy up on what our starting assets are, get the job queue working correctly. We'll fix the error message that we're getting about the prospect setup, and then theoretically we should be able to create 3 or 4 test companies, and with a little bit of setup work as a player, we should be able to early next week come back and see how those different companies have gone. And in the very near future, we really need to get the power deducting from the cost of operation, and that'll give us our proper flow of the core game. At that point, it is a game. So we're really close, and I would love to get us across the finish line within the next week or so. So that'll be an excellent little Alpha 0.1. That'll be exciting. All right. Well, thank you all for watching with me today, and we'll see you on Thursday, August 20th. Take care.